We've had great and good and fortuitous times of being able to work with Dr. Laffer, and there is no place on earth that is a better home for this center than the great state of Texas. And Greg, his work stands on its own. It is incredibly. Why do people even debate this anymore? I mean, seriously, why do you even debate supply-side economics anymore? I mean, you know what? I just thought of something. After they gave the Nobel Prize to Paul Krugman, you don't want it. I'm just thinking. If that's the standard, then maybe there is a good reason for that. But it really is. You've changed the world. I mean, there aren't many people who can stand and realize, certainly in their lifetimes, that they've actually changed the world, changed the nation, and you have, Art, and that's one of the powerful things. And you know, unfortunately, the country needs a refresher course in supply-side economics, and we're paying a price for losing our memory, if you will. The lost jobs, the lost opportunity. Now, I'm not complaining because most of them are coming here after they lose them out of California. And I share with people, I said, listen, I said, we had a group of legislators come from California and spoke to our, I think they may have met with the members of the legislature as well, but they came and sat down in our office, and they wanted to find out how you're doing it. How are you creating the jobs that you're creating in the state of Texas with this economic climate that's going on? David, you're Exhibit A of how and why people come out of California and come to Texas. And I want California to succeed. I want them to be successful. I want them to be a great competitor of ours. I want them to compete in every arena, and I want them to compete well. And it's intriguing to me that they would come here, and I take it as a great compliment that they would put their egos in their back pocket and basically say, we've really fouled this place up so bad that we're going to ask them how to get out of it in Texas. Now that had to be and I admire people who admit they make mistakes and that they admit that they have made some decisions that haven't been good for their people. And they came and we shared with them a relatively simple story. I tell people, tongue-in-cheek but truthfully, I said, listen, I'm just an animal science major from the beloved Texas A&M, but I get it about governing. I said, you don't have to be a PhD from Harvard to understand the principles of governing. You keep the taxes as low as you can. I mean, you have a low tax burden, a regulatory climate that allows you to have predictability and stability in your regulatory world, a legal system that doesn't allow for oversuing, so people know that they can spend more time creating wealth instead of time in a courtroom. Have public schools that are accountable so that there is that continual, constant flow of skilled workers into the workplace. And then get the hell out of the way and let the private sector do what the private sector does. We kind of sound familiar, don't they? Because you've heard them before. You've heard them from Art Laffer. Now, I know there is no shortage of naysayers out there who say Texas has to follow the lead of these other states. Illinois, great example, and raise taxes, that you cannot reduce spending, that you're just going to have to raise taxes. Was this the same thing we heard in 2003 when we had a $10 billion shortfall? And there were those across the state, there were editorial boards that were calling for upwards and including a personal income tax. That it's just time for you Republicans to understand that you're going to have to pass an income tax in the state of Texas. Not passing a state income tax in Texas is the best thing we have never done in this state. My English teacher would probably not be proud of me for that statement. Taxpayers in Texas can't be. You know, the fact of the matter is, it's that simple approach that has served us so well for a decade. Senator, I want to say to you and Tina, thank you for coming to Texas. I know Brooke has already told your most intriguing story, but I mean, for how long were you a public servant? 16 years. I mean, the idea that, and a lifelong resident of the land of Lincoln, to stand up and say, you know what, I've had it, and I'm going to the land of opportunity, is a powerful story. But it happens day in and day out. And a lot of times, it's not the high-profile individuals like David or the senator. It's just it may be a mom. A single mom who realizes that there is still a place where freedom from overtaxation, over-regulation, over-litigation, a place where their children can have a chance to do anything that they want because those public schools are producing that skilled workforce. That's the story of Texas. That's the story of Texas today. Yeah, I don't try to sugarcoat what's going on in this state. We got our challenges. We have a federal government that has created a monstrous debt. And there are men and women who daily make decisions about whether or not they are going to risk their capital. And because of the policies that Washington has put into place, they say, I don't think so yet. When Standard & Poor down turns, the projections for the future, people get really nervous about making those expenditures, risking their capital. That's what's going on in America today. If we had a federal government that sent a clear message, as a matter of fact, if the message in 2008 in September had been, you know what, we're just going to allow companies that cannot operate correctly to go through Chapter 7 or Chapter 11 bankruptcy, our country would have been substantially better off than bailing out big government and ending up owning a car dealership. That is a fact. If they had stood up in Washington, D.C., Charles, and said, we are going to cut spending to get this country back on track, the economy would have taken off with substantial power. If the leadership of this country would stand up and say, we must change our tax structure so that men and women, and for that matter, corporations, can keep more of their money. The idea that you're taxing 35% of the money that's offshore before it comes back in, it's never going to come back in. Art, animal science major, Perry here. I'm thinking, if we cut it to 5%, the money would flow back in and huge amounts of jobs would be created. Do I get an A on that? I get an A. Listen, Brooke shared with you great stories, and you all over the course of the last 2 years have heard me reiterate what's going on in the state of Texas. We're still creating jobs here. For the 9th year in a row, we're the #1 exporting state in the nation. We were chosen by Site Selection magazine, Wendy, just within the last 30 days, winning the Governor's Cup, as they refer to it, as the place that has the most corporate starts. I mean, the list goes on and on. People all across this country, even in San Francisco, know that Texas, there's something special going on here. But you can't rest on your laurels. I mean, one of the reasons, I mean, we had the Reagan years and we got to see that, and we saw the power of the economy of America going forward. And over the course of that 20 years, something happened. We got lazy. We lost our focus. We allowed the Potomac fever, or whatever it happens up there, to take over. We lost the lessons of Reaganomics. And our country is paying a huge price for it. You cannot rest on your laurels. One of the reasons I wanted those, and I was proud to have those California legislators in here, because they will push us. If they change and create a more respectful of job creators tax structure in that state, they will again become the great competitor. And Texas will be forced to make decisions, either tax-wise, regulatory-wise, legal side. Get that right, man. That will push us to be more competitive. And Bill, the point is, you cannot rest on your laurels. And I don't think we're doing it in the state of Texas. And I'll give you one example as I wrap up. The members of the Texas legislature today, and for the next 45 days, how many days we got left in the session? 43. Awesome, 43. Even better. For those of you who are not from Texas, our legislature meets for 140 days every other year. Is that awesome? Hans said the only thing that could be better than that is 100 days. They're looking at a piece of legislation that could change Texas forever, and change Texas in a powerful way. I hope each of you will contact your legislators and say, don't miss this chance. Don't miss this chance to change this state, and in turn probably change this country. And that is a concept called loser pay. Loser pay in our legal system is being debated and talked about today in the Capitol. I love things simple. And simply put, loser pay is all about if somebody sues you, and it's either a frivolous lawsuit or they have the opportunity to make a settlement and then they still lose, they get to pay your legal fee and your court cost. That, ladies and gentlemen, will change this state forever in a powerful way. We will become even a greater export market in exporting trial lawyers out of the state of Texas. Author, we owe you a lot. We owe you a lot for what you have accomplished over the last 10 years of working with us, and this is a small way to say thank you. To say thank you not just to the man, but to the principles that have changed the country and changed the world. I want to say how pleased we are that you have chosen Texas and the Texas Public Policy Foundation as the home to your new center. it is easy to see why people all across this country and around the world admire you so much. And we consider it to be a great privilege, and in a small way, to be able to say thank you for all you've done. God bless you. And through you, may God continue to bless the great state of Texas.